And who's the Nebraska quarterback again?
Dylan Raiola.
He's
Perhaps
famous.
you've heard of him. Yeah, he is famous. Acts like Patrick Mahomes. Just signed a nice sponsorship deal with Adidas just for people to get even more
I did not know that.
interested / concerned about the Patrick Mahomes comparisons. But exciting young quarterback, I think, right? How would you characterize Dylan Raiola's freshman season? Because it was I think about what you would expect from a freshman, like on average, but probably a step short of what you would expect from a freshman with the recruiting pedigree of Dylan Raiola. And I think largely lacking in those sort of wow moments that, even if it's not a consistent body of work, makes you think like, oh yeah, this kid's got it. Like, just wait till he gets his feet under him, kind of thing. So like, I sense nothing but excitement from Nebraska about what Dylan Raiola is and what he can become, but I don't know that everything he put on the field last year is quite what you would have expected from a person who was at a point regarded as like the best quarterback in his class, and certainly finished as still as a 5-star quarterback.
And it's one of those where he played more than Damon Williams. He played more than DJ Lagway. He played much more than CJ Carr or Julian Sayin, all of these other highly recruited quarterbacks in his class. And the result is there's probably less excitement around him than around any of those guys I mentioned who played far less football in 2024, because we like what we don't see. So I think it's possible his 2024 was just average enough to take away all the pressure and expectations of 2025 in a way that will both help him and is incorrect. Because if you're giving up on Dylan Raiola because he didn't do enough as a true freshman starter in the Big Ten, I think you're looking at it wrong.
I think that's right. I also think maybe he wasn't helped by DJ Lagway did not play as much, but when he did play, he looked good in Florida 1.
He did.
And Raiola, I actually think, started off pretty strong and then just kind of flatlined and then sort of took a dip. And he was like, we'll talk about the coaches, like he was in an offense that was kind of out of sorts and maybe didn't have all the best weapons around him. And then his OC got let go and they brought in a new one. Like it was not by any stretch like the ideal circumstances to bring a true starting quarterback into. And he could be better off having gone through that now. It's just a matter of, I always worry about with young quarterbacks in those situations, do you develop the kind of bad habits or develop anything that might hinder you in your progression as you move forward? I don't know that happened necessarily for Dylan Raiola, and it does seem like Nebraska's entire offseason was like making sure that they put everything right around him.
Yes.
So I think he'll be fine. I would be lying though if I said like, should we rethink ultimately what his ceiling is? I'm not entirely sure about that. But to start off as hot as he did, which was like he had 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in his first 5 games, and then he had 2 touchdowns and like 9 interceptions the rest of the season. It was a freshman kind of hitting that wall about as hard as you'll see it happen for a guy that keeps playing in every game.
Absolutely ran out of juice as his offense was crumbling around him, and they were dismissing the offensive coordinator and bringing in Dana Holgerson and all these other things. Again, I was at that Friday night, day after Thanksgiving game between Iowa and Nebraska, and I thought you could literally see him run out of juice. And I think 80 different quarterbacks in college football win that game because Nebraska has a lead on the road, and you just need someone to like lock it down and be competent and let Nebraska win. And that's not what happened. He got loose. He leaked. I thought he leaked. It was just like the air out of the. It's a good podcast all year, which is just, he didn't pop. I don't think he popped, but I think by the end of the year, the air was out of the balloon. But when the balloon deflates, you know what you can do? You can fill it back up with air. And after a balloon is filled with air and deflates, you know what happens when you fill it with air again? It's bigger because it got stretched out the first time around. And as long as you don't pop, you have a chance to come back better. And I think Dylan Raiola is going to be a bigger balloon.
Yeah, I don't know. He might request some different imagery, especially for a player who like much of the talk of the offseason was maybe he needs to lose a little bit of weight and become a little bit more mobile. Matt Rule said something like he can't play quarterback at 240 pounds, like he tried to do last year. So yeah, good analogy, but maybe I'd pick a slightly different one.
Because also when you reinflate the balloon, it gets a little saggy, but it's bigger. So yeah, so he wants to be. Yeah. So the other guy, Damon Williams Jr., is completely the opposite of this. I want to ask you this question first, which is at the end of my notes, and the question is he the fastest quarterback in college football this year? Because Jalen Milroe's not around.
Maybe.
Maybe. The answer, I think, at the very least, is maybe. 5'9", 190. Jedd Fisch, the Washington head coach, has called him the fastest player on Washington's team. I guess he's been timed at 4.4. When he gets scooting, he looks like he's shot out of a cannon, which is what Jalen Milroe looked like. But also, I think he's already laid down better accuracy than Jalen Milroe had at Alabama. He was 82 of 105 for 944 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. So he's accurate and he's shot out of a cannon. And people are fired up for this dude. In the bowl game, when he did start, 374 yards, 4 touchdowns, led him back at the end. There's a lot of confidence here. And Jedd Fisch wants to elevate this guy. And he followed Jedd Fisch from Arizona. And I don't know what to tell you, man. It is hard to pull yourself. I just said, hey, we love guys who haven't played. He's played enough, and he's had the wow moments that you're saying Raiola in a whole season kind of didn't have. He was a wrinkle QB with 2 starts at the end, and I think you could probably make a 15-play wow highlight reel of Damon Williams Jr.
I think there's some real juice there. It's hard to not get excited about what that could be. Now he's on the smaller side, I guess, which
5'11", 190 is smaller. Yeah. So you're talking 50 pounds lighter than Raiola at his biggest. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Jalen Milroe was like a thoroughbred, and I don't know what Damon Williams is.
Greyhound.
What's a fast small animal? Greyhound?
Yeah. Rabbit.
Yeah. Rabbit. Oh, rabbit's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there to like. And I think I think Damon Williams, and they're different quarterbacks, but I think he sort of already excels in the areas where Raiola needs to grow, which is like play extension, playmaking generally. I think Raiola probably should have, he doesn't have a ton of mobility, but he has some, and maybe he should have embraced that a little more last year, which is why I think Matt Rule said what he said about the playing weight that Raiola was at last season. So, there's a trade-off. Raiola's a big kid, and Damon Williams is not. And people tend to fall off of Dylan Raiola in a way that wouldn't happen with Damon Williams if they can get his hands on him.
Yeah.
So they're different in that way. But I think with any quarterback that's in this situation, right? It's like second-year guy looking to make a jump. You want to have seen some of those playmaking sparks. And it's not to say that Dylan Raiola can't do it, because we didn't see a ton of it last year, but it's hard to bank on it. Whereas with Williams, we definitely saw that last year, and all it does is get you fired up about what he could be in 2025.
They lost their bowl game to Louisville because they went for 2 at the end after they scored what would have been the tying touchdown if they had kicked the extra point. He had a play on that drive with a minute left where he did a spin move to get out of the pocket under pressure, and then got reset himself and got drilled in the face by a defensive player coming in to sack him, but got the ball out just as the sack was coming and completed a pass to keep the drive alive, which is, he's not that big, but he's tough, and he'll take a hit like that. But he also had the extreme athleticism and composure in the moment to get out of the trouble, which again is what you're talking about. So I wanted to offer a defense of Dylan Raiola, because I think we can feel nationally the disinterest. Seeing that, I don't want to go to the sequel. You want to see the movie the first time. You don't want to go to the sequel. But he started a movie. But I'll take Demond Williams Jr. like along with the rest of the world. The world.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not 100-0. It's not a slam dunk. Oh my God, one guy's going to be an All-American, the other guy stinks. These are two very good second-year quarterbacks.
It feels like we're resetting with Raiola, and Williams is like a continuation of like exciting sparks from last year. And it's just much easier to get excited about the latter than it is a guy resetting. I want to throw out one stat I was looking up because there was some talk about Raiola in the spring, like he needs to be better on third down kind of stuff. CFBstats.com, which is like a good like cumulative stats website. Big Ten quarterbacks who qualified, there were 25 of them total, third down passer rating. Raiola was 22nd out of 25. The only guys behind him were Jack Lausch and Mike Wright, the two Northwestern quarterbacks from last year, and Braden Locke was 25th. Demond Williams was 4th.
Okay. Now you're just rubbing it in.
Smaller sample size, but he was 4th.
We love Demond Williams. So, but we're not abandoning Dylan Raiola. But that category, quarterback we take in 2025, we'll take Demond Williams Jr.